This has been concerned about fracking because it involves the injection underground of huge volumes of water containing toxic chemicals, and it is creating massive problems with seepage and with wastewater disposal. We see more and more cities, towns, provinces, and states declaring moratoria on fracking. Evidence from the US is that even where there are strict regulations, they are not always followed and that our legal and enforcement systems are not able to deal with the risks of fracking.
You can tell that by the constitution of this panel, which is not constituted for an impartial look at fracking. It's constituted to sell fracking to the uninformed.
Why we have to keep reinventing the wheel when there's so many well-documented studies in the US that illustrate all of these big problems.
So what are your thoughts about what you saw and heard tonight, about the concerns that you heard, about the number of people that showed up relative to the movement that you've seen develop on the West Coast?
It's a great start, I think, for here. In fact, there were more people here than when things started out in the West Coast, and I found people were really aware. There seemed to be a real concern out here, and so if people aren't coming from some sort of lack of knowledge totally about it. They have questions, they want answers, and they're willing to pose the difficult questions and get George and to give them the answers that he has and listen to other people. So I was super impressed by it, and the variety of people that were out here from obviously faculty and professors and people from the university to retired individuals to political activists to youth. It was a great mix. So I was really impressed. And
you made a comment during the Q&A here this evening about how important it was that you mentioned the role that the movement that was mobilizing on the West Coast, what role that was playing in this whole process of discussing, educating ourselves about the fracking process, about what it means to public health, to the environment stuff. How significant is that going to, or what role do you see the movement playing now as we move into the phase of actually having this external review happen and there's going to be consultations with communities and stuff? What role do you see the movement playing as this process unfolds?
Well, I think you've already seen part of that role, which is the questioning of the panel and the makeup of the panel. There's expertise on the West Coast that could have been drawn upon, and the fracking awareness groups have pointed this out. We have medical expertise out there, we have environmental policy expertise, and this was ignored out here and by the government. But I think we're at our next stage now. We've gone from mobilizing a really good base out there, and again I say we, and I shouldn't say that. It's really the fracking awareness people from Bay St. George in particular, but also out by Gross Moor, and they've really done the job for this. And I think, like I said, this next stage now is going to be dealing both with the makeup of the panel, questioning that and how biased they're coming into this process right from the beginning. But then also, if the government insists upon forcing this panel upon us and continuing with it, I think really the hard questioning that we're going to be asking them about their involvement with oil and gas. Maurice Dussault, for example, has fracking patents. Why is he sitting on a board that's supposed to be neutral in its investigation of fracking? So these are the next steps, the next stages. And then beyond that, I don't think we're stopping there like Nova Scotia, like New Brunswick, like other jurisdictions. This is not something we're going to give in on, right? It's a long, drawn-out process.
There's various issues various concerns that people are taking issue with and expressing at a lot of these public events and in the media and online on Facebook and stuff. Everything from the contamination of groundwater to air pollution to potential for earthquakes to climate change, the implications of trade deals we have, NAFTA and CETA, about potentially not being able to stop fracking if we do let it in here and start it. From what since you've had your ear to the ground on the West Coast, what are the main concerns that people have expressed out there? Is it mostly about the immediate effects that fracking could potentially have on their communities and their families, or are people thinking bigger picture as well in the future of our province and our island here? What are some of the main concerns that people are expressing?
Well, I think initially when it started out in the first talking circles that I went to, there was the immediate concerns. There was already horizontal fracturing that had been done out at Cholt Point. There was leaks at the wells there. So they were seeing the direct impact of, not horizontal, vertical fracking that had gone on there, which was not supposed to have been done. Nobody knew about it. And so their concerns were those immediate concerns. They were seeing the potential for oil. They knew the geology of the area. But as they've developed, and I think this is where this sort of social democracy and citizens democracy and grassroots level participation, as it's gone on, there's been more and more education. There's been more and more thinking about the larger consequences of this. And it goes beyond the methane pollution that we're going to have. It goes beyond the traffic congestion and the possibility of major tanker spills into water aquifers. And, it goes beyond storage, but it goes to the heart of climate change in some ways. People are thinking about their children. They're thinking about the future of their children. They're thinking, do we have to extract this now? And so that's really a long-term mentality that people have. And I don't think this government realizes or quite understands that we aren't thinking now. We're not just thinking next election, though I hope the next election, as happened in other provinces, points out to this government how much there is a voice against fracking out on the West Coast and here on the East Coast. But I don't think what they're really aware of, this is a long-term issue. And this is an issue for our children, our grandchildren, and future generations. And that's the long-term perspective I think we're beginning to develop out in the West Coast as well. We want to see our future. We want to see our future in things like alternative energy. We want to see our future in tourism. We don't want to see Gros Morne challenged as a UNESCO site. Those are long-term issues, long-term economic and development issues, and long-term climate change and environment issues.
Okay, thanks, Gerard.
Thank you very much.